So last week, I left it up to you guys what we talk about this week, and you left some really great topics in the comments. So let's get into it. Hey, what's up? I'm Ken. This is kenfuTV, and each week I release videos in the martial arts, philosophy, training, technique, that sort of thing, and you're watching Ken Learns Kenfu. This is the part where I reflect on my training and talk about what it's like while I'm learning and continuing to learn the martial arts. If these are the kind of videos you're interested in, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you know when the new videos are coming out, and if you like this video, drop a like while you're down there, and like we did last week, drop some comments and let's have conversations. So last week, I asked you guys to drop stuff in the comments for us to talk about, and just what's on your mind, what kind of things you've been thinking about, and you did, so let's do it. Okay, so first up is my buddy Chris Hanson over at Karate Unity. If you're not following, I'll put a link right here to his channel so you can go check out what he's doing. A lot of great stuff. But so Chris says, been thinking about ranges and tools to fit those ranges. Striking, getting up from throws, inside strikes, strikes from the ground. I think this is really important. I think this is a huge topic that needs more time spent on it, is the idea of range. One of the best classifications that I think really exists in breaking down, if you're trying to look at your curriculum or shape it out and kind of see where things fit where, is range. Range really helps you to understand what tools are available at each range, and tools could be your own body or actual tools, actual weapons or things that are around you, that sort of thing. Certain tools are going to be better at certain ranges, right? A really long tool is great for a really long range. A really short tool is great for a short range, but the opposite is not true. I can't use a really long tool very well at really close range, not typically. And a really short tool, well, if I'm really far away, I'm probably not going to employ that at all. So I think that's important. Now he goes on to talk about striking, getting up from throws, inside strikes, and striking from the ground. I think that he's on a great track, and I hope that he's putting together a video on these thoughts, because I think this is really great stuff, especially stuff getting up from throws. We talk a lot about throwing. We even talk a lot about receiving throws, but I don't know how much time is spent in getting up. I know I spent a lot of time on getting up from throws, but curriculum-wise, I don't know that it's actually covered a ton, so I think it's really great that he's bringing attention to that. As we continue down, I've got Salvatore Placidokumari. First of all, thanks for your kindness and sharing your ideas and knowledge. Wish you the best. Good luck. Hey, you too. Really like that. Thank you. So he says, because of the existing situation, should we concentrate on the original training methods, i.e. training in the garden, forest, etc.? Please don't get me wrong. I prefer the intimacy of a closed room/dojo with our teacher and our students. Even the idea of wearing our gi for a certain time in order to convey the feeling that we have the everyday life and the world out there for a while. But I noticed that even experienced martial artists in my area, Frankfurt am Main, Germany, preferred to train little to no, understandably because of COVID-19. Maybe it's time to rethink. Leave the gi in the closet, practice kihon, kata, and new techniques outside in summer when the weather is good. What do you think about that? Greetings from Frankfurt. I think it's a great idea. And I say that because it's what we've been doing. We've been setting up in a park, give people the option of wearing a gi if they want to, but nobody has, and I haven't either. And I think training outside is really good. I actually think that you should do this periodically, even when we don't have COVID-19 and we don't have stuff like this. I think the idea of getting out and training on uneven surfaces and in different kinds of terrain with different kinds of weather. You know, right now it's hot, so you get sweatier. It's a little bit different when you do that versus when it's cold, or, you know, flat surface versus mixed surface, or inclines and elevation. All that stuff plays a role. This last weekend, we did some eskrima training in the trees so that you had to deal with the fact that there's branches and trees and things around you that limit the use of your tools. And we were using a 28-inch stick, so, you know, the range of that has to be compressed inside that. And I think there's a lot to gain from diversifying your training in that way. I don't specifically think we need one or the other. Right now with COVID-19, having outdoors an option where we can space out a little bit more and have that fresh air and all that, I think is really, really great. It's really critical to being able to continue our training while dealing with restrictions that might be in place in our areas. And when it comes to the gi, you can wear one outside or you cannot. The gi is a tool as well. With less contact, my personal opinion on the gi is with less contact, it's less necessary, because the gi's really good at when you're working, gripping and grabbing onto things and throwing and that kind of stuff. And you're not tearing your clothes, your regular clothes that you wear around, that sort of thing. You're not wearing out a bunch of t-shirts and having to buy more t-shirts because you're constantly ripping them or something like that. And I think it's really great from that standpoint as a tool. If we're working solo and we're keeping distance, it's very unnecessary. It just doesn't really fit. You know, it's just, it's just unnecessary. It's not adding anything to the training. It might be heavy, it might be hot, and you can decide for yourself if you think that's worth it to you. But I typically think there's just not a lot of value in that. But I agree with what you say when you talk about the idea of having a space. There's the world out there and what we're doing right now. I think that is actually critical. For a lot of people, coming to a place and putting on your uniform helps you slip into that other mindset, leave things outside, and just have some time for yourself. And I think that's absolutely important. I think it's really critical that we have that. And sometimes just something as simple as changing our clothes does that. So if we don't have that, if we're just going to the park and we're wearing whatever we wore that day, or maybe we just threw on some clothes that don't necessarily have that mental connection for us, I think that's where the ceremony plays a big role. My instructor always said, when you come in and you bow on the way into the door, that's your moment to actively give yourself permission to train, to specifically go and say, hey, I can do this. The things outside are going to stay outside. They'll be there when I get done. And I'm allowing myself to train and focus and do that sort of thing. And I think that's really important. So the idea of having some kind of ceremony, a bow or something as you enter the space, even if it's a park, and going through, if you have a ceremony of bows or things, different classes of mine may have bows at the beginning, or we might have a specific creed that we say as we get started. And those things kind of help generate that idea that you're shifting into a different place. And I think that stuff's very helpful. Having a routine, a ritual, truly, I think that's what the ritual's good for. We don't have ritual just for ritual's sake. It allows us to do something specific. And in this case, that's transfer into our training mode, right? Get some mental clarity and some mental health from just getting away from that stuff for a minute. And the world's crazy right now, so we need that. It's important. Should this be what the future looks like? I don't know. If it works for you and the weather's good, you're not, and I say that not because I feel like you got to have good weather to train, but if the weather is safe, right? If it's not so cold that somebody could get hurt, or it's raining so hard and you're training in a place where somebody could get hurt, those are things that the weather's not good, right? But training when it's cold, training when it's hot, training in these different conditions, training in the rain, that kind of stuff, as long as nobody has the danger of getting hurt arbitrarily, unnecessarily, then I think these things are really good. And maybe it's given us a chance to explore different ways of training that we haven't been doing. And I like it. The Eclectic Hobbyist says, right after watching this video, I'm off to my first in-person class since the shutdown. We have a hygiene plan in place to minimize any potential infection risk, and we will focus on Kihon and Kata for the foreseeable future. I'll probably be taking it slow for the first few sessions, because despite having participated in teletraining via Zoom these past months, I can tell that I've gotten a bit too comfortable, for lack of a better term. Still, I'm totally pumped. And then side note, the pop-up didn't pop up. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I didn't realize that. I put both of them in there, and I guess I didn't space them out enough. So thanks for catching that and letting me know. Hopefully I've got that fixed. So I wish you well. I hope you're going to have to jump back in here and let me know how your training went, how it went your first time back with everybody. I hope it went really, really well. But I get what you mean. Teletraining and stuff, it's just different. It's a different thing. As a teacher, I'll tell you, it's exhausting. It's amazing how a 40-minute Zoom session compared to like an hour and a half of training in the dojo is just mentally exhausting, because it's just constant. There's no breaks. There's no moments where you're disconnected or anything. It's just all the time, and it wears you out. So it's amazing to me. So then you go and do that for an hour and a half instead, and it's just killer. Mostly mentally, truly. It's been kind of weird. I think that's great that you guys got a hygiene plan in place. We did the same thing. We've started training indoors again, depending on the class, and same thing. We're taking people's temperatures. We're noting down if there's any kind of symptoms. We're having a conversation about that as they come in. We're making sure we've got hand sanitizer and hand washing stations. We're mopping down the mats every time we get done training. We're maintaining distance where we can. We're wearing masks if we can't maintain distance, or we're working technique. Some of the people, we don't have a strong restriction as to whether or not people can work together. So we're wearing masks so that when people do work together, we're still at least being safe that way. All of those things add up, right? It's everything that we can do to just be as safe as we can while continuing to get the most we can out of our training. And hopefully that experience was really good for you. And not just the Eclectic Hobbyist, any of you guys, if you're back to training, tell me how it's going, what it's like, and kind of what things you're doing. and how that's been different from the way it used to be. I'd love to hear about it. Okay, so we're going to cut it right there because this is a long one. This ended up being a long video. I've actually already recorded the whole thing, but I'm going to just drop right here and release the next part next week so that this video doesn't become like a mile long. I'm bad at doing that already, so there you go. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. That's absolutely incredible, and I'm completely pumped to see where this goes with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed stuff like this. Be sure to jump in the comments and have a conversation about what we talked about today, especially if you were one of the people that left comments last time. And if you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscription. Here's a playlist of videos like these and a couple more videos you might like. Catch you in the next one.